mention your father. Talk a little about the business, because you were a DJ for New York Jet games. Pre-game.
Yeah, my father, Big Tony. Big Tony owned a DJ business up in North Jersey. My uncles, my family, they run a DJ business called Premier Entertainment. I was a DJ my whole life, so I always had a microphone. I was out there, you know, making sure that the people at the wedding had the best time ever. The bride and groom came home happy. You know, so for me, I've always had a microphone and always watched my father do the same thing as an MC. We actually were lucky enough to get the account as independent contractors with the New York Jets and do all their pregame in the Budweiser and Coors Light tents and everything that was out front. So we played music before the game, couple free tickets, mix it up out there, you know, get in the game. Jets, Jets, having fun in East Rutherford.
I have to ask then now, so what does Enzo Amore listen to? What music does Enzo Amore like?
I don't want people to get the wrong impression and think that I'm all about fist pumping. You know, I enjoy a club or two. You know, in my day, I'll hit New York City. We'll cross the GWB, meet up with Cass. You know, hit Pasha. But that is not exactly what's playing when I'm making towns and going from you know, show to show and wrestling. I really have been on lately the #1 album in the country, which is Wale's the album About Nothing. I've been listening to that a lot lately. Fabulous, the OG project. I'm into that. The new Kendrick Lamar album I've been just starting to listen to. I don't know how I feel about it just yet, but if I go back, I grew up listening to Nas, Biggie, Tupac, Jay-Z, and for me, Jay-Z is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. So at any moment in time, I got my headphones on, you take them off, you put them on your ear, you might be hearing Jay-Z.
Lastly, I'm going to ask you about Joe DeFranco. So this is how you got started in the business. Talk about Joe. Joe has a good relationship with Paul Triple H, and you ended up training with Joe, I guess. So tell me the story, what happened there, and then how you got to hear it.
Well, I was lucky enough, you know, some of the best high school football in the country goes on in North Jersey. And one of my good buddies who I watched growing up play a lot of, you know, high school football, and now college and professional, was Brian Cushing. USC Trojans, plays for the Houston Texans now, and he's a former Rookie of the Year in the NFL, had trained with Joe DeFranco, and I used to watch Brian and say, dang, you know, I want to go train too. So I started training with Joe at around the age of 16, kept with him all through high school, all through college. I played football at Salisbury State University in Maryland, and you know, I was training in the off seasons. When football season ended, I started doing a little boxing, jiu-jitsu, BJJ, and you know, MMA. I started training, and I stayed with Joe. But at this point, you know, I'm just a guy who's a DJ training in the gym. And Joe calls me one day and says, "Hey, you ever heard of this guy Paul Levesque?" My jaw dropped to the ground. I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He asked me if I could train him, you know. You know, what is it now, 3+ years later, Joe's still training Triple H, and you know, about a year down the line where he was training Triple H, I made a YouTube video, and I said to Joe, who's a good buddy of mine who trained me for a long time, I said, "Hey, listen, I've done you plenty favors, and I've never asked you for a favor. Here's this link to this YouTube video. I want you to show it to Paul Levesque. And he doesn't need to do me any favors. If he thinks it's worthy, maybe, you know, see what happens." Joe showed it to Paul Levesque. He ended up calling me on the phone, which was like mind-blowing. He said that.
Did you think someone was ribbing you, or you knew?
I thought somebody was, you know, messing with me, but I also knew, you know, that Joe had showed it to him and he was impressed. I don't think he was so impressed with the physical prowess that is Enzo Amore, more or less the microphone skills, because I cut a promo at the end on the Hudson River, and I rapped at the beginning in a video, and I'm in the gym and I'm boxing and this, that, and the other. So Joe showed it to him. He liked it. He gives me the tryout. No guarantees. Didn't hear back from him for a few months. They said they weren't going to do me any favors, so the coaches that were there at the tryout, like Norman Smiley at the time, you know, they gave me the go and the green light, and gave Triple H the word that, you know, I'm a guy that they should look into. And P.S., you know, 3 years later, it looks like, you know, they made a good decision, if you ask me.
I think it was a good decision too, and I think a lot of fans know it was a good decision as well.
Yeah.
Last question for you. You mentioned about Cass. You and Cass played some basketball together in New York City. What was it like that after those days? And now here you two guys are in the ring, tag team, here with this huge NXT brand that's white hot.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to miss a guy as big as Cass when you're on the basketball court, you know. Whether you're just running and you're picking 5, you know, and you want him on your team, you know what I'm saying? So I've always wanted him on my team, man. And it was really funny because at a moment's time, you know, I walk into the WWE, at the time, FCW Developmental Training Facility, and I have my tryout, which is a 3-day tryout, and I walk in the door and I see Big Cass, and I didn't think he'd remember me, and I barely remembered him, and he had mentioned it to me, like, holy smokes, bro. You ain't lying, dude. Yeah, that's right. And at the time when I had just gotten signed after the trial, you know, Cass was friendly to me at my tryout. You walk into the wrestling business like someone like myself, you know, I can talk, and, you know, I got an aura about me as far as my charisma goes. Sometimes it doesn't do me any favors. So, with that being said, you know, when I walked through the door, I don't think that people were so, you know, reluctant to embrace me with open arms. Big Cass kind of took me by his side, under his wing, you know, made sure that, you know, I was taken care of, and you know, looked out for me and my career, helped me out in the ring, out of the ring, and me and him just gelled. We lived together, we became roommates, you know, and with that being said, you know, it just happened organically. We didn't have to fake what we were doing. Basically, people saw us hanging out in the locker room. We were making people laugh, and they're like, why aren't you guys together on TV? And they're like, yeah, you're right, we should be. We're best buddies. We crack all you people up. I'm pretty sure we can do it on TV, too. That's pretty much how it happened.
And you guys have been. And good wrestling, too. Twitter, where do fans find you?
At WWEA. All day 21. That's 2 A's there. WWEA, meaning me, this is my world, you know. EA all day 21. Same as Instagram.
Enzo, thank you.
Thank you, baby. My pleasure. Pleasure, not a chore.